Hello, hello. This is the 184th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2224, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. So here we are again.
Yep, last week we were away. Mr. Arlene filled in for us, which was very kind of him. And yes, we are back.
Yes, we're back. And then your best friends from the 23rd century.
That could be us.
Yes, probably.
Well, I mean, unless they like Mr. Dobalina better, yeah. But
I was going to say, probably
among
the only
their
people
best,
they know in the 23rd century.
People, right, because, well, it depends what you think of an AI as, but
yeah, friends
I consider
anyway,
Mr. Dobalina a person too.
And we've had a bunch of guests.
True.
Okay.
Let's say we're among their favourite.
Some
their best
of your
friend.
best friends
Yeah.
from the 23rd century.
Yeah.
At least the ones you hear the most.
The most frequently, yes.
Yeah.
When they listen to every episode, as they surely do.
Unless they have Mr. Dobalina on repeat.
Only his 2 episodes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then skip that part. Okay, never mind that. Before we start with the topic of today, we have news, which is also the topic of today.
Yeah, so it's topical news, which is why we're going to talk about it.
So what's the news?
The news is, unfortunately, that fast space travel has been delayed.
Yes.
We talked about that in a previous episode. We talked about the C-beam paths, all the various stuff that was going on with that. And unfortunately, it turns out that those C-beam paths, we totally talked about it, yeah, where Pluto needed to be moved somewhere else to clear a path, to clear the C-beam path. And unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's getting in the way. The Oort cloud and the Kuiper belt.
Yeah, that's
the delay.
It's basically you clear the path, and then of course things move around. So a couple of weeks later, okay, Pluto didn't get back to his original place, but there's all kinds of other stuff that's just drifting in the way. And apparently, especially around our solar system, with the Oort cloud and the Kuiper belt that you mentioned, there's lots of debris floating around. So every time you clear the path, it slowly starts to just fill up again with space trash.
Yeah. And so rather than it being a path that's cleared, good, done, a bit of maintenance every so often, instead of that, it's the case that at the moment, whenever a fast shuttle is going out, it needs to be preceded. So ahead of it needs to go a destroyer shuttle to clear the path, to blast away the fragments, the debris.
This is how the Martians and Illuminati have been traveling, which we realized this. What we didn't realize?
It was a miscommunication, because they do this, but they don't have an Oort cloud or a Kuiper belt. Basically, they have far less debris in their solar systems and the places where they go. And so they didn't mention it as like a really big obstacle because for them it hasn't been.
Yeah. And I think also the problem was like they still have this destroyer spacecraft traveling in front, clearing the path whenever they go through these kind of zones. But we, of course, need it all the time if we want to leave our solar system because of all of this trash floating around out there. And you can still build these destroyer spacecrafts, but they're made of hypogastrium.
Yeah.
Which...
hypogastrium, yeah? Yeah, exactly. And exactly, the Martians and the Illuminati have plentiful supplies, no big deal. But for us here on Earth, and more to the point in our solar system, we don't actually even have a source for it. We need to get it from elsewhere. And
it's kind of hard to build something something like this without hypogastrium, apparently. Not sure why these are separate spacecraft, so why the manned craft can't also be the destroyer. But either way, this destroyer bit is hypogastrium, which we don't have. Which means delay.
Which means trying to work out what to do next.
Exactly. So developing fast space travel is slow. Yeah.
At least for us right now.
They should have come up with fast space travel development. Fast space travel development.
I see what you mean. Yeah. So development of the way to develop it.
Yes, exactly. To make that fast.
Yeah.
But so we have a problem. So what we know now is it's going to be delayed until we've solved the problem.
Yep.
That's the realism. So until we've solved it, it's not going to happen. Of course, there's still a new timeline. That's what they're communicating. It's going to be ready next year.
Which does seem optimistic.
I like it. So they've
They
had
don't actually know what they're going to do yet,
yes,
but they're guaranteeing they'll have worked it out and implemented whatever they've worked out by next year.
exactly. So there's a whole bunch of participants got together, agreed on a new timeline. Next point on the agenda is figuring out how to solve this. But at least the timeline is already there. So
That's useful for planning.
Yes, exactly. That makes planning a whole lot easier because we know it's going to be ready next year. Still looking forward to it, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Sure.
But of course, there's still, I'm saying that's the project team involved or the organization involved, but also everybody else is now speculating about different ways to solve the problem.
Yeah, you're right, because it's still the figuring out phase.
I think the most, like the one that was initially discussed the most, is figure out where the aliens are getting their hypogastrium.
Yeah, and then make deals with their suppliers. It's the simplest in the sense everything else can continue as it was. And the issue is, it seems to be, at least for us in our solar system, a very expensive thing to get.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not so much figuring out where they're getting it, it's where can we get it for a price that is reasonable.
And if they're sitting on the source, might also explain a little why they didn't really tell us up front until we were way into the process saying, oh yeah, by the way, you need to buy this expensive thing from us.
Sure. And the other thing is, okay, to import it so to Earth for the ship to be built, or even just to the solar system for the ships to be built. I guess the point is, okay, if it's built way further out in the solar system, where is I think the Kuiper belt is further out, yeah? Or which one's further out? Basically, if it was built outside of those belts.
The Oort cloud is further out.
Further out, yeah, okay, I mixed up. But either way, reason I'm mentioning that is the hypogastrium, okay, it needs to be brought here for the ships to be built. If it needs to be brought through those, presumably that will cost more than if it was just delivered where Pluto used to be, for example.
Yeah, fair enough. And also, but of course, the Parsians and Illuminati are traveling here, so they have those things.
Yeah.
So they're traveling here, and I guess they could go to their source, but I'm not sure how rare or not rare it is for them. If they have a use for it, yeah. But that's, I think that's the most obvious solution, figuring out where they're getting it, because they're already building things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, you're right. I was just checking it on my lens. You're right, the Oort cloud is way further out than I was thinking. I had it mixed up with something else. Yeah,
and there's also the thing is that, apparently if you leave the solar system, there's first a bunch of trash in the Kuiper belt. And at one point, you're clear of that. You go and then soon afterwards, hello, Oort cloud. More trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Okay, so that's the expensive option. And then another one, which is, this seems like it would take longer than a year. Develop some entirely different, obviously much better technology.
Much better.
Obviously. Such as, for example, Mr. Fusion instead of using plutonium.
Yeah, that was more efficient.
Yeah, definitely. That's an analogy. Something like hyperspace would be the idea. Something where you're not going through space, you're going around space or something like that. Okay, that's a great idea, but no one has any idea how to do that. So it's that seems optimistic that will be developed in the next year.
And also, we've had many centuries of space travel behind us, and that got us pretty far. And only recently they said, never mind that, mucking about with your tardigrade ships. We've got just a thing for you. And then we've all betted on these new technologies, only to find out, okay, that's going to take forever. Let's go back to, the original plan.
Sure.
Which basically is what we were doing until last year. Yeah. I personally, I don't believe in this solution at all. If there was a really good, obvious solution, I guess we would have,
it seems like something that's worth continuing, to look into.
True. Fair enough.
But not something to depend on for the revised timeline.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That definitely is not going to be ready next year. Yeah. But fair point. If we don't want to be relying on our alien friends too much, this example showed,
it was simply. It seems like it wasn't malicious. It was a miscommunication.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But still, it's causing issues now.
I heard they were thinking of setting up a ship sharing program.
Right. Rather, I mean, it is a practical solution, because sure, the Illuminati and the Partians, they've got this sorted.
Yeah.
So rather than building our own ships within the solar system, how about we share theirs?
Yeah. I mean, if they still have a ship with, I don't know, 30 seats heading somewhere, and it's just, hitching on. Once we've basically have ships of our own, they can hitch right with us.
Yeah, and it's really more the scale of things, because of course people have been doing that for some time, yeah. But the point of developing this all within our own solar system is that the scale could be massively more.
Yeah.
Especially the tourism industry was looking forward to that.
And then, I mean, we can basically buy stakes in their ships, and then we always have a right for on a couple of seats or something like this. And I think kind of following up on that, like the normal spacecrafts, they are going to be ready, or some of them are already ready.
Right, not the destroyers, but exactly the actual ships.
So we could just basically follow them.
Follow the Partian ships.
Exactly. Whenever they're ready to leave, hey, they have a big, anniversary on their planet. They all have to go there, whatever. It's like they fly off, and we can go follow that ship, and we just basically.
Yeah, and that would definitely work for leaving the solar system, and of course would work so long as literally following the other ship to wherever it's going. And the difficulty then is, okay, you want to go somewhere else?
Yeah.
You could, so long as you're not going to come across too many debris along the way.
Fair enough.
But that's a bit of a risk.
And we can just basically go to their planets.
Yeah.
Or to wherever they are going.
Sure.
They're making a stop on Minibar. Then we have to also make a stop there.
Yeah.
And so we just, tap our fingers, ding, 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 while they stock up on supplies. Yeah.
Right. And then, sure, I guess it's going back to the first idea. Rather than relying on the current sources of hypogastrium, somehow finding a new supply. Hey, this isn't possible because of what hypogastrium is, but in principle, hey, the bottom of the ocean, Mariana Trench. Hey, turns out there's a bunch of hypogastrium down there.
I like this solution the most. They've already started setting up contests, right? Whoever finds hypogastrium, you get a really nice reward. I can't remember how much it is, but it's a whole lot of knows.
Sure.
And I think I'm not sure if it's the one with the most promising solution, but it's definitely the easiest, because everything else we've got covered. We just don't have hypogastrium.
Right.
You have any ideas where to get it?
I mentioned the bottom of the ocean. That seems the most likely because it's the least explored. And so far, people have been looking, and none's been found so far, like on the surface, in the deserts, at the poles. It's like, so if it's somewhere on Earth and we haven't found it yet, probably it's deep under the oceans.
I was even thinking maybe the backsides of planets.
Somewhere else in the solar system.
Because in the solar system, we've got that covered, most of it. Maybe the dark side of Clarabelle. It's like the side that we never see. Clarabelle itself we never see, but even the dark side of that.
Sure, and that obviously takes longer to explore, but that's happening too, right? That the other planets in the solar system.
I can just imagine really opportunistic space travelers just taking all their holidays right now, shooting off into space, drilling holes in random planets and meteorites just to find that source of hypogastrium that everybody's waiting for.
It could be combined with, drilling all those holes, for example, in the place where the hole has been drilled, could put always portal windows. Hook it up to the network. You'd need some kind of window, so glass. You'd want a seal of some kind that you don't open like your portal window and have a vacuum on the other side. But it could be pretty fun to look at.
That's actually, I like that. I'm also now feeling a little bit adventurous. Maybe taking up all my holidays. Maybe going on a space trip.
Right, to go have a look yourself.
It's a super tiny chance that there even is hypogastrium in our solar system, and there's even a tinier chance that we will find it, and even a tinier chance that I will be the one finding it.
Right.
But it could be fun.
Could be.
Could have my face in a newspaper.
So wait, do you have a pilot's license for shuttles?
No.
So you'd like me to,
If
either go with a group, or get someone else to pilot to fly.
would you have your license?
I do.
You want to come?
Yeah.
We can share the reward.
That sounds a good idea. Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. Not today, but
Cool.
let's discuss that later and work out when's a good
And
time.
and if we don't get back in time for the next podcast, we can ask Mr. Dublin again.
Yeah. Sounds good.
But yeah, so these are all the ideas, but of course
right.
there had to be consequences.
Right, to the delay.
I mentioned before that not everybody was very happy to find out about hypogastrium so late in the process. So some of the key alien personnel was fired.
Yeah. Almost in retaliation, but that was like a shooting yourself in the foot thing.
Yes.
Because now the project doesn't have experienced leadership. It has leadership, sure, yeah, but the people, the aliens, the Partians, the Illuminati, who've actually done this a bunch of times elsewhere on other projects, they're not there anymore offering, advice or, to the point, experience.
So then it's basically we have solar system inhabitants trying to figure out what all these manuals really mean. What I read already that the new estimates, together with the timeline, are that it's going to probably cost 5 times more.
Yeah.
Did you read this? 5 times more.
So that is impressive because it's just in principle. Hey, just one more year. Yeah, but okay, you need to pay all the people working on it. Of course, that is why some people were fired, to reduce that cost. But still, it's massive. And then now there's all this research needing to be done into new things that costs money too.
Possibly buy a whole bunch of expensive hypogastrium.
And that's probably the largest chunk of that 5 times. Is probably most of it is for that.
And there is a massive artichoke shortage, right?
Indeed, which makes everything worse. There's a recession with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the Illuminati are not accepting anything else. So there's a few big consequences. But I also saw that there was a committee founded as an independent.
That's a positive thing.
An independent committee, and they are now really investigating how could this have gone wrong. So this includes humans, aliens, and robots, independent, with really some key minds that are now figuring out how this could have gone wrong. But there's also...
But that's more like that's good to know for future projects. It doesn't help so much in this case.
Yeah, but maybe it also helps this project going forward. To avoid any further surprises along the way.
Right, if they work out what led to the bad decisions.
Yeah. Although this committee then, of course, with all of these, bright minds in it, then is very expensive, which also increased the costs.
Yeah, exactly, because it wouldn't be much sense. Well, so you had a committee, and the people, in that committee, weren't experts in their fields.
Yeah.
It would be kind of pointless. Okay, they're experts in their fields. They cost a lot.
And also the alien participants, some of them were the aliens that were fired from the project. Of course, they now had free time on their hands, so they were hired for the committee.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, to cut down a little bit on costs, because you also have to say, okay, which, MVP version, which things can we maybe reduce?
Minimum viable product.
Yeah, exactly. So they've reduced some of the safety measures, for example, in the
seems
spacecraft.
a bad idea.
Yeah, but they're saying it's still kind of safe.
Sure. They're saying we were being too safe before.
Yeah, too cautious.
Exactly.
This is still fine. People are still going to be fine.
We'll see how it goes, of course. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong. I maybe won't want to risk my own life with that.
Yes. So, but we'll find out next year.
Sure. Next year, let's see.
Yeah, we'll find that out. Okay, so until then, we'll just be exploring our solar system with our old, solid tardigrade chips. Or trusty
they
companions.
do still work for that, at least. Listener question?
Yes, let's do it.
Do you want to read it, or shall I?
I can read it.
Okie doke.
So this was from Arlene. It was very short. This is basically the whole content of her email. Is the moon made out of cheese? It looks like cheese. I like cheese.
Yes, cheese is good. So no, unfortunately, Arlene, it's not made of cheese, not the whole moon.
No.
But it is coated in cheese.
Yeah.
That makes sense, of course. Yeah, and that's why people, I think, for a long time thought it was made of cheese.
Yeah.
But, it's made of rock or, moon rock is what the moon is made of, but it does have a layer of cheese all over.
Yeah, so that's like people used to think the moon was made out of cheese, but then once we started colonizing it, they quickly realized that's just the surface.
Mining. Exactly. Yeah. But, I mean, cheese is tasty. Like you mentioned, Arlene, we all like cheese. So there is Cheesetown, which is where they both collect the cheese from the surface of the moon and then also make cheese-based product out of that and also make other cheeses too.
Yeah, and it's also the like because the cover of the moon is kind of like dusty, so this is more kind of like I guess you could compare it to kind of like Parmesan cheese. But the deeper you get, the cheese layers are different, so they taste different. So Cheesetown is where you need to go to try out all the different moon cheeses.
Yep. It's a really lovely place to go.
Okay, well, that's it. The end of the episode.
Yep, I'm going to tell our listeners what to do. Listeners, to test from the future, please email us at microlasagna5@gmail.com. Put the number 184 in the subject line, and that way we'll know this episode successfully went back in time. And if you have any questions for us, like Arlene there, please put them in your email too.
All right. Then thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.